We're joined by William KABOGO this morning.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
My
apologies for failing to get here last
You preempted what I was going to say next.
You see what has happened? She almost forgot your name.
Right.
This guy, we've seen him before.
No. I wanted to.
I saw her coming, so I had to apologize.
Yeah, I was trying to couch it very very carefully, but I said, okay, I can't just say, look, we've been waiting for you. Where have you been? Yeah, we know you're a nice guy. You're here, which is good. Karibu sana.
It's a pleasure.
Karibu sana once again. Good to have you here. William, just looking at what has been going on, good to have you in the room and say Kiambu County is where you want to be governor.
Is where I'm going to be
governor. Is where you want to be governor.
God willing.
Again.
Yes.
All right. Have you been given, it looks like everybody's looking for green lights here and everybody's after this one piece of paper that's going to say, go ahead and now campaign. Where are you?
I have my green light. For the first time in life, I'm in a party that I love, a party that I like, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party. For the first time, I did not go for nominations. What a wonderful thing. I wish I did this 20 years ago.
Had you known?
I'm telling you, I would never, ever have joined any other party.
You said something very interesting. I'm going to hold you on that. You said for the first time in your life, you're in a party you like.
Yes.
What does that mean? What are you trying to say? You didn't come into politics
yesterday,
William.
There's a saying that goes here in Kenya. Vyama vina wenyewe.
You're going to have to help me out with that.
It means that parties have owners. This one is owned by those who support the party. There are no preferred candidates, no favors. Come in, campaign. Where we had nominations, mostly we did interviews. And we did polls, and whoever came out first got a ticket. Even if it was my son, he would never have gotten it if he didn't get it first. I've been a victim of nominations ever since 2002. So makes me really happy that you can have a seamless nomination process where you just allow democracy to work. Yes.
Is that what you see it playing out?
And that's
what let's look at the party level.
Yes, that's what I see Kenya becoming in the next few years. That democracy can really work. The Kanu days were, Moi, Biwot, those guys, you will get a ticket. We came to TNA, URP, same story. We came to Jubilee, again the same stories. You're a preferred candidate, you're not preferred, you're too strong for them, they don't think they can handle you, so they kick you out. And Kenyans now know that they have to start electing people, not parties. That's why I'm confident. Of course, in our region, the party that seems to have a wave is UDA. But although we're in the same site with the Kenya Kwanza team, I'm sure I will get my seat with Jibebe and not without a problem.
Is there a difference? One could argue, William, that you are at the helm of the party. And so you are at the place where others were in other parties that you previously belonged to.
There, but
so you're enjoying a preserve that others enjoyed in other parties.
I'm there, but I don't play that game they played against me. Yes, I will make sure that you have your right and you get a fair chance as long as it is you the people want.
Okay. The last time...
And it's so easy if you look at it that way.
Okay.
But very complicated when you look at it from the older party perspective. And I'm still seeing parties doing the same things. Yes. I've seen people being given nomination tickets.
Directly.
They are not popular at all. But because the party has a wave, the people seem to want to sail with that wave. But for the first time again, you will see very many independent candidates going through.
Yes.
Someone can be a party stalwart, and the party feels they owe the individual, but yet the groundswell or the fodder that the politician needs, that is the vote of the people, or the signature, the tick from the people, does not exist.
Right.
So would you not say then, Mheshimiwa, that parties sometimes are in a bit of a quandary. You have someone who's been your supporter, but somehow the other people who've not been your
You remember
supporter.
last time I was here, we talked about the issue of people who lead these parties or the owners of these parties. And I said to you that you know that this is just a game. Same monkeys, same forest, and we expect different results.
That is precisely
If
what
you
you
place those who want to be president, except Wajakoya, they've been ministers, they've been vice presidents,
they've been in the system.
they've been deputy presidents. We've never had a chance to scrutinize what it is they have done in their political careers at the helm of whatever it is they have been, deputy president, vice president, Kalonzo minister, 25, 30 years, vice president, 5, Musalia Mudavadi, minister from the age of 29, all the way to DPM, all the way to vice president, William Ruto, minister, deputy president. What is it any of these guys can say? I did so well in this ministry. If you make me president, I will do this in Kenya.
I observe, William, you have not mentioned Raila Odinga, and he also was prime minister.
He was. It's not my intention. I was just giving an example. Stinga was minister, roads.
Yes.
Of course, he's been in the leader of opposition for the longest, up to prime minister.
Yes.
Yes, we place their cards on the table and do a marking scheme for them. You will find that at some point you may be so you may be so disappointed that you even think, now I think we need to give Wajakoya a chance.
Oh, talking of someone like Wajakoya, I think he has a serious following.
I was at Radio Ghetto and I was surprised. Sana.
He has
He
a
will
serious
pull out
following.
something like 400,000-500,000 votes.
He has a serious. He may even pull out more because, as you say correctly, he's the new kid in the block.
Yes.
And he's talking about things that nobody else is talking about.
Yes. And he has been where everybody else has been.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, where everybody else has not been.
Yes.
You name it, he has been there.
William, the last time you were here, you told us very clearly what your intention was, to go back and then vie for the governorship of Kiambu County. And one of the things that you said, which remains indelible in my mind, is that you had unfinished business in Kiambu.
I had unfinished business. Of course, it's become worse. So I would have to start somewhere that I thought I would find, they did a little more. So I'll pick it up from where they have left. But the place has gone backwards.
Okay.
You'll
So
find
unfinished
people are
business
paying
begins...
a little more. It begins halfway where I was in 2016. And that's really sad for me.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about systems that are working. Revenue collection has gone down from 2.7 billion to about 900 billion, yet people are paying more. For example, a salon, we were charging, I think, 3,500 then. It's now about 11,000.
As licensed?
Yes, as licensed. They're charging almost 3 times more. But the revenue of the county has dropped. So what does that say? That says leakage.
What it says, it says there was COVID.
COVID didn't take away the money because they're still paying. So that answers one question of the issue that, anti-corruption, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is looking into an asset recovery from Waitito. They're saying he cannot explain 1.9 billion. So where would that have come from? A big question. It could be from revenue, it could be from bribes, it could be from sales of something. Something is not right. The most worrying thing, and this is not only in Kiambu, it's in the Republic. I've seen it in Nairobi, Murang'a, Nyeri, is a trend of insecurity and unemployment. And it is so huge a problem. You will not see it when you leave studio here and get into your matatu and go home. But if you try and address these guys, for example, yesterday I was in Thika. No, the day before yesterday, in a place called Wetaithie. Big crowd, 2,000-3,000 people. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Where are these people coming from? at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They should be working. Then by the time you want to leave, you've addressed them, everything else is okay. But the minute you get into your car to leave, then you meet something you have never seen. It is so scary.
What is that?
At the risk of, this is a political season.
It is.
So you have to be very careful what you say because people will interpret it differently. These guys are almost getting whatever it is they will get from your car. Whatever it is. And it is by force. You look at it and think that you're not in your country. You're elsewhere. These are things you probably heard of, or I saw them in the Bronx in New York in the 90s. And it's going to get really serious if this matter is not addressed. I came to a church function just around where we are here. And I was with Mheshimiwa Mudavadi as we were leaving. I needed to leave just a little earlier, 5 minutes ahead. I got into the car just outside the church. These young men, they are on the road, they've blocked the road, you still are driving to push, and they're holding onto the bonnet. 20, 30 of them. What is it they want? Handouts. If you don't, then you're in trouble. Break your windscreen, shutter your windows. So the easiest thing to do is if you have, you remove 3,000-4,000 shillings and give them.
And you're doing this. Okay, so there's
I'm
issues that are coming out here.
I'm talking from a leader's perspective,
Understood.
not a politician.
And exactly, that was the question I was going to ask. So here you're saying, to avoid something having happened to you and your vehicle, you pay the money so that this angry mob, as it were, will go. But then are you looking at the issues?
Knowing that that's not a solution.
Exactly.
Yes.
But are you looking at the issues that may fuel this particular action? So there's one, that there has been the previous practice that people who come to a rally or come to listen to their would-be politician tell them one or two are expectant of something to be given to them because they've come to hear.
Right.
Number two, that there could be a rise of insecurity because the economic situation is really so bad that people are going to do whatever they need to do to get a little bit of something.
That is the point.
What are you dealing with here?
And from the beginning, that's where I was saying now, I may have to start a little earlier than I thought. We had a Biashara fund in Kiambu, right? Where we were giving women, men, youth, persons living with disability fund a seed money for small enterprises. I'm sure, I don't have the real numbers, but we gave motorbikes close to 2,800 motorbikes. Those are 2,800 families. 150,000 shillings worth of a bike. You get a bike, you get a full tank, you get insurance, and you start paying on the end of the first week. All those payments were done. 99.9% repayment because of peer pressure. It is based on peer pressure.
Group dynamics,
yes,
kind of.
You get, I'll be waiting.
Yes.
He gets, the other one will be waiting. So after I left, that fund closed. So I have a plan now not to go to the level of 150,000 shillings. These people we call Mamamboga. Give her 20 or 30,000 shillings, let her keep it for 90 days, and return it as 31,000 shillings. During that 90 days, I expect she will be able to multiply that 30,000 to about another 30,000. And that way, you will reach more people, because the problem in this country is unemployment. We look at these young men and women, even women, I'm telling you seriously.
In the mob.
At Wetavia, there were women in the mob. Young girls. But we look at them like they belong to Mars. They're not part of us. Even those near those areas are looking at them as these people. But they are part of them. They're their children. And you will see this is a very serious problem when you see Kazi Mtaani. You know the Kazi Mtaani?
Yes, the government initiative.
Yes, to dish money. It's not to employ. The employment they do is kufagia, sweeping and slashing by the roads.
Sweeping the very same roads
Yes.
as well, yes.
You know, there are doctors there, there are engineers there, well-learned accountants in that group. So this is a time bomb. And if we don't deal with it, if we don't deal with it now, we will have issues we'll never be able to deal with in the next 7 or 8 years.
Tell me something. Kiambu County, what do you envision as a process you can put in place? You mentioned two things. A structure that will address this one problem.
There's no shortcut, my friend. These people cannot be employed by the county.
No.
These people cannot be employed by the manufacturing industry that we have.
No.
These people can only engage in enterprise development, like start their own small enterprises. Remember that everyone has a hustle, as they say. Mali, Muguka, even cannabis, which is illegal. Everyone has a hustle.
Illegal as of now?
Yes. Everyone has a hustle. It's just that they cannot capital fund their hustle. So if you have a system that gives 20,000 shillings for this hustle, half of them will make it, my friend. Half of them will make it. I know someone who started buying and selling things from spinners and spinners, a manufacturer in Ruiru. They make blankets and things like that. And this spinners and spinners company stopped doing retail. So they only do wholesale, and you have to go there and pick it yourself. They stopped, having vans and distributing to the rest of the country. And this guy, his first shopping was like 300-400 shillings. And this young Asian man decided, why don't we give it a try? This guy looks serious. He's coming here every other 3 days for 9,000, 12,000. They decided to give him credit as he grew. He'll pick 500,000 worth of things, bring back 600,000, and they figured his trend. He was growing with every trip over 100,000 shillings. He is now their largest buyer, 30 million a time from 500 shillings. So it is possible. These guys can work. But when you start seeing them and they chase and pick a handbag from someone, you chase them, they remove a knife. So he knows it's time for danger at some point. Some even have guns.
So I hear you saying, William, that the solution to this is to give an opportunity for these folks to have something that they can do with their hands.
Nation, to make
something that you can do with your hands
yes.
and earn something from.
Yes.
It will remove your attention from now these vices that we are complaining about on a regular basis.
Correct.
You stop being idle. Put it this way.
You stop being idle.
And again, if we can address these two things together, because they are bedfellows, corruption and development. You have to deal with corruption. The president is on record telling us that we lose 2 billion shillings a day. We have now William Ruto on record saying he will give 50 billion shillings for enterprise development for the hustler. I am not sure whether this will happen, but if it does, it is the same thing I'm talking about.
But you see, you're talking about...
I'm saying, you imagine that we have 2,800 people who feed themselves from those motorbikes that the county government give. And they paid back fully.
You know, outside Nairobi...
I was. Let me give an example. I was going to KBC studio like 3-4 months ago. And out there, that's Norfolk. A young man comes shouting, "KABOGO, KABOGO." I'm like, what is this now? You know, I'm thinking it's the same business,
Yes.
handouts and things like that. He says, no. I want to thank you. You gave me a motorbike at Lari, Rukuba. That bike we paid, we bought another one for my brother. I've sold mine. This is my Uber. A guy who didn't have a shoe, he didn't have a place, there was quarters, and now he can feed his family, his brother's family. We have 2,800 of those. If I had continued growing it that way, I'm not saying the bike would be the best thing to continue doing. They will grow from the bike to the three-wheeler. And then from three-wheeler to the four-wheeler, I'm thinking about those very tiny Fiat like machines from India. It costs about 400,000 shillings. So we must make Kenya a working nation. If it's not going to be a working, in 7 years at this trend, my friend, you will not come to work. You will not come to work. These people will come out in the streets and start feeding themselves whichever one way. And it is the most scaring thing. Yes.
But it's something that one saw, or one has seen in this country on video. The moment there is a disruption of law and order, then everything goes. Now, your county, I said outside Nairobi, and to some extent,
my county now is part of Nairobi. You cannot tell the difference.
I can actually, and that is why this is where I'm going. It is a unique and separate county.
Yes.
It is not Nairobi. Okay, but it boasts one of the most industrialized counties that we have in this country, if not the highest. That's why I left Nairobi aside.
Yes.
Now, if with a county like that, which has industries and which has a high employment capacity, has the problem that it has, and you're enumerating it quite well. Two things. One, how do you help industrialists, or rather more industrialists or more industries to come up in that region? And how do you help these young people whom you're talking about get, yes, they're business-minded, but grow to the point where they can understand how whatever enterprise they have, they can grow it so that it stops being a hand-to-mouth operation.
Right. So you may think, and most people have this notion, that Kiambu is a very wealthy county in terms of per capita.
It's not the truth.
It's not. It's not.
Why?
This wealth is held by 0.2%. KABOGO, Manish, Sultan, those ones. And the capacity of engagement with employees, like employment creation, is very low because right now most industries are automated. You understand? So if you look at coffee, it's only during that season that coffee picking. And coffee picking, how much do they pay?
Right.
480 shillings a day. You understand what I'm saying? Until the time we will be able to do that manufacturing, even spread it out to cottage industries for people to do it themselves, then you can talk about industrial development and engaging the communities in manufacturing.
What had you started doing with regard to what you're saying when you were governor?
KABOGO, can you answer that question when we come back from break, William? Because I think it's important to look at that. Oftentimes we can have this picture in our heads of, all right, but if we're actually saying this is what it was, that people could see and touch and taste and feel, then we have a different experience.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
So, William, just before we went to the break, CT had that question for you. What are some things that you actually did? What are some things that you saw worked for the people of the county?
I'll tell you, we did very well in the health sector. And I want to remind you about a project that was brought by the system, national government, equipment leasing. That was the biggest scandal I have ever come across.
MES.
Yes, as governor. You know, I was the governor of the president. And it was very difficult to say no to some of these things, but I did say no. But finally, I was pushed until we signed to lease this equipment. Even though, from my own analysis and speaking to General Electric, Philips, and others, we had an easier way out of having equipment to work for us forever. What do I mean by forever? I mean, right now, all this equipment, none is working. Even counties like Siolo, where they didn't have hospitals, they're still paying, or they still paid 94 million shillings a year.
For nothing.
For nothing. Well, for
some
equipment,
some
equipments. And this was done by a guy called Ngatia. And I'm happy that he never got a chance to even buy in Nairobi.
Don't say what you really think, William.
That's my opinion. It's not spice. It's my opinion because we know more than probably people think we know. You know, I had negotiated as governor of Kiambu with General Electric and Philips. You know the way you have a photocopier that you don't own here in the Standard. You go and get a photocopier from a manufacturer. They put it on the floor. You pay for that. They pay you for using your space, rent, but they charge you per copier. This is what I had done with CT scan equipment and things like that. We didn't have to spend 94 million shillings a year for equipment worth 150 million shillings. You understand what I'm saying? 150 million shilling worth of equipment is what we were given, but we were paying 94 million a year for 7 years. That's one of the biggest scams that you will ever come across. And no one is in court anywhere. No one is being investigated. Maybe I'll be investigated after I leave here.
For saying that, perhaps you have some inside information.
Yes, for things that I am saying. So it's taken us back to corruption. But I sorted our mess in hospitals. And you remember we wanted to take Kidero and Machakos to court because they were consuming our drugs. Where are the hospitals in Nairobi?
What do you mean consuming your drugs?
Drugs in our hospitals.
Because residents from their counties were coming to Kiambu County?
Here, they were being treated in Kiambu. Residents of Moranga were being treated in Thika. Residents of Machakos were being treated in Thika. And that's why I introduced a fee of 5,000 shillings for every ambulance that was not from Kiambu. You'd find 10 or 15 ambulances at one day from Machakos. So we did the infrastructure in terms of healthcare, and it was being used by Kenyans, which is okay, but we had limited resources.
Essentially, you're saying these Kenyans also had their governors,
yes,
and their governors also had their finances.
Correct.
And they could have done the same
thing.
But
the little we had, if they had done what we were doing, then everyone would have access to good health facilities. Ambulances, we didn't buy matatus, E23s. You know that bread-looking matatu?
Right.
We didn't buy that. We bought state-of-the-art equivalent to HDU.
I hear you saying
so you needed to get yourself into that matatu, into that ambulance, then you're sure you have a chance.
William, essentially you're saying that everything that you did while you were governor was undone in the years after, and it's only going to take you to come back
it will take
and
me a
put
long
them
time.
into place.
Believe you me, sometimes I'm even worried whether I may have to just go work and leave it where I left it.
At least get back to where it was. Okay,
yes,
that's
get
what
it back. But and that's why I was supporting BBI towards half the journey of BBI, because it was going to give counties that are densely populated more money. Kiambu gets about 9 billion now. And during that proposal, Kiambu was going to get, I think, 19 or 20 billion. Remember that when I went into Kiambu, the Kajos, what you call Kajos, you know, used to collect about 700 million a year. And then when I studied the amount of money we're going to receive, 8 billion, and our recurrent expenditure was close to 7 point something
billion.
Yes, that meant there was only a few hundred millions for development. Even the story of 30-70 ratio was not
it didn't add up.
It didn't add up at all. So what did I do? First, I went into finding out whether we have revenue leakage. And my friend, there were receipt books for the Kajura, receipt book for the collector, receipt book for the Kaju.
These are their own personal receipts.
Personal, yes.
So it wasn't a drip, it was a gaping hole.
Yes. Okay. So we quickly did a small seminar within the office, not in those hotels, within the office, and said, what are the things we can do to improve our revenue collection as quick fruits? One was to digitize. You remember I got into so much trouble with the MCAs and MPs that KABOGO is buying computers. You know, the little brains, people, you know, were buying computers. Digitizing, according to them.
Maybe you didn't involve them in adequate public participation.
No, we didn't involve them in digitizing, so they didn't make any money.
Oh, okay. So
you understand?
Okay.
And we went to the top of the range in terms of systems. SAP, the most expensive. We paid 140 million to digitize Kiambu. But what happened after 1 year, 14 months? From 700 million to 2.7 billion. And this is what hurts me, that we are back to 900.
So perhaps you have a chance, or a stab at this once again, because I can see in your face that you feel bad about this.
It's terrible,
right? So, looking at the vehicle upon which you're riding into this, hopefully that you'll get onto the seat, and looking at another wave, which we kind of had a chat about during the break, that is maybe taking place in the country now, what people are now calling the Martha effect. Looking at that wave, do you feel that you're riding the correct wave? And do you feel that what we are seeing, whether it be perception or not, is a true reflection?
I have to be very careful in what I say.
Is the true reflection of what is the situation politically? Was it the right choice that the head of the wave on which you're currently riding made?
Let's start here. I'm not riding on anyone's wave.
Okay. Or the vehicle through which you want to deliver your vision.
We have a coalition, Kenya Kwanza, where I am right now. And I'm there for one reason, and one reason only. The reason that I have negotiated and we have talked and agreed that the increased revenue to counties, increase revenue, not what they're getting now. What they're getting will be the bare minimum. But any additional revenue that goes into the counties should go into the counties based on population. So that Nairobi gets a fair amount of money to serve 4-point-something million Nairobians. I think there are about 7 million people in Nairobi during the day. When you give money to counties on the basis of parameters like population 45%, because that's what it is today. 55 is other things, geographical size. That's why you find places like Turkana taking more money than Kiambu. When Turkana has a workforce of about 200-300 million, Kiambu has 700 million. You understand? Look at that.
So you negotiated on that, and that's why you're part of this coalition.
And that's why I am there. Really? Because I believe that it is not from Nairobi that these problems we are talking about will be sorted.
No.
It is from the village. If you get the right people in the right places at the ward level, at the village level, then Kenya will change.
So are you saying the Kenya Kwanza coalition right now is doing that, getting the right people, or at least getting the right people? No,
I haven't said that. That's why I said I have to be very careful in what I say.
Okay.
I'm saying I believe money will follow people. And if it does, and you have Kenyans have elected responsible leaders, because it's Kenyans who elect.
Yes.
It's not the coalition leadership. And that's why we are telling Kenyans, please use your head when you're going to vote. Vote for work. Don't do what you did 5 years ago and you start crying, Afadhali KABOGO, Afadhali so-and-so, better so-and-so. Because the slogan, KABOGO, is a national slogan now. But you do this and then 5 years, you complain.
So are you, okay, it looks like I'm
So I'm saying I'm fighting for KABOGO to get resources.
Yeah.
And now in 5 years, believe you me, that place will be different.
Okay.
And it is not that we will make people very rich. My idea is to make sure that we use every human being as capital.
Is it to reduce poverty or to eliminate it?
It is to reduce poverty. You cannot eliminate poverty because some people just choose to be lazy and poor. You understand what I'm saying?
I not only understand.
There are people who really don't care. They don't want to work. We have several combination of many things. I said corruption, biggest problem. That goes from village all the way to the president. Number 2, we are gamblers. Kenyans are gamblers.
Explain.
Not you and me.
Explain.
Go to radio in the morning. I'm not going to mention names. I don't want to be sued.
Not today.
But you will see programs that are there. Every 7 minutes, they have to run the advert for gambling. So I estimate in 1 or 2 radios, 1 million people participate with 100 shillings. I estimate. I could be wrong. So how much money is that?
You're talking about 100.
100.
It's 10 shillings, 20 shillings, 50, 100.
Make it an average of 100 shillings.
But William, let me ask you this question.
Allow me to finish,
Please
so
finish.
that you see the red in it. It's 100 million shillings picked from the poor. A young man has secured a mom a knife.
Yeah.
I will need 100 bob. Because he sees himself getting out of poverty or out of the village with 100,000, hopefully, that day or any day in the future. So that 100 million from the village comes to some guys here in Nairobi. And they decide to give back 100,000, 20,000. They give like maximum 5 million in kickbacks. You know, you've won. How much money have they kept? 95 million shillings. From where? From the poor, my friend. From the poor, from the villagers. And this is done on a daily basis. 2, very expensive credit. Most expensive credit in Africa is here. Do you know the informal sector lends more money than our banks? We are told that Fuliza. I am not attacking anyone. I'm told, and reliably so, I believe, they handle 2.5 billion shillings a day.
The statistics are out there.
2.5 billion shillings a day with an interest rate of 10%. So whoever it is, they make 250 million shillings every day. And because you Fuliza today, you have to pay back tomorrow and Fuliza again. Can you imagine if someone Fulizas 3 times a week? You're paying 30% interest per week. Multiply that by 52. 1,500%.
The question I wanted to ask you is tied in with exactly what you're saying, because you painted an interesting picture. What is it that gets people to that point? Because it isn't for fun.
Of course, it's not for fun.
Yes.
You need to eat today.
Yes.
You have nothing in the house.
Yes.
But you can borrow 500 shillings from Fuliza.
There's the
You understand?
Yes.
In the hope that your husband or your wife will be able to get this money tomorrow, 600 from some hustle.
Wherever.
You understand?
Yes.
So it's continuous borrowing.
It is.
Then if you don't get to Fuliza because it's been closed, you find a Shylock. Shylocks charge 10% per month. The only thing is Shylocks, you need security.
No, that is a
So
kind, that is a kind Shylock. Shylocks charge 20, 30
per month.
Yes.
So we are a country of very expensive credit, gamblers, a country full of corruption, and we are looking at the same people to take us out of this. We are looking at the same people. Remember, we started by saying, same forest, same monkeys, but you expect different results. I'm telling you, only God will help us here.
But you know, William, if we do not focus on why it is that our people are so desperate, because the picture you painted is one of desperation. Because
am I alone in this room? Is this a feeling of all of us?
Well, we started the conversation this morning about the state of the nation, and it looks as though things are not looking pretty good.
Things are really bad.
Oh no, that's where we went.
But
yes.
in the same country, you have people turning into billionaires in a span of a year. You get what I'm saying? We had a very good thing that we had started somewhere, the country, of declaration of wealth.
Yes. How did that one work?
It didn't work because they didn't want it to work. Legislators didn't want it to work.
William,
you get what I'm saying? My forms that I gave to Bunge, to Ole Kaparo, who has ever opened them to see what I owned when I went into Parliament in the 9th Parliament? If this thing was happening, you remember Uhuru went to Mombasa, and him and his deputy then, and Sultan Joho, they said it will start with them.
How did that work?
What is it called? Lifestyle audit.
Audit, yeah.
Yes. They did work.
Even as you wrap
I
up,
know someone. I know someone up there. I know someone. In 2012, he could not find 500,000 shillings.
And now?
Problem number 1, 2, 3, not more than 5.
Night and day. William, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And even as you wrap up this conversation...
This is why I wanted to be president.
Okay, so you wanted to be president, but you said it for governor. If you would tell us one thing...
Because
30
people
seconds,
start telling you...
How you can...
You're becoming president. How? You understand? This is not a country where we talk issues. It's a country where you have to have enough money to give a boost of your campaigns of about 10 billion.
But there are those who say...
Let me give you an example.
That you have the money.
I have the money. I have worked very hard for my money.
We're coming to
and
the
I'm
end
not
of this
gonna use my
conversation.
money
William,
to,
we're coming to the top
In
of the
30
hour.
seconds, tell us.
yes.
In 30 seconds, how would it be that you would then bring this change about? Lasting message.
Do you know how Vladimir Putin became so popular and famous, and that he would be elected anytime till he dies, if that was the system? Is he came and worried just about that cadre of society. Right now, what is the wage, minimum wage in Kenya? 480 or thereabout?
You're talking about daily wages?
Daily wage, yes.
Yeah.
Because these people are the
About
ones who work
400
for daily wage.
Yeah.
Right?
They're about 480.
Unga. Moi left Unga at what price?
You know, I actually forget.
You will not believe even fuel was 59 shillings.
Yes.
Now it's 150.
Set into 200.
Let's talk about kerosene because these guys don't need fuel.
They need kerosene.
They need kerosene.
We're coming to the top of the hour, William. Always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And I mean, it's interesting to hear the things that you have in store for the county. Let's see how things go, basically.